Good morning. This is going to be a short one. Today I'm going to do a quick planning session. I think it's a good idea for me to get this done. Normally, I wouldn't do this till Thursday afternoon or night or even Friday, but I'm in a good place, I think, with the work I've accomplished during this sprint. I actually got a lot of things done. I'm not 100% sure these are all on my sprint plan, but I mean, they are all on the application plan, but I may have been, a little redirected at times. So let's go see what I actually put in my sprint and see what I actually got done for the sprint. See how good I did on staying on task. Let's see here. So I didn't do a ton of things because I knew they would be complicated. Okay, so run game function, play execution component, and game simulation UI. Okay, so these, yeah, these were all not what I did. Okay, to be fair, everything I did makes these things possible. But it turns out I didn't plan for the things that were going to make these possible. I couldn't simply go to the game simulation UI, which is to get the game simulating. I think what I had actually intended here, I don't think I actually have any objects on there now. I feel like maybe I just put that in there to do some enhancements to it, to make it look better, which is kind of small potatoes, but I like to do a little AI stuff or UI stuff every now and then just to kind of get a good feel of what's going on, to make it look like, have visual progress. But the thing is, I think I got visual progress. But what I actually ended up getting done, but I'll probably end up having to push some of these. These actually might be good for the next sprint. But ultimately, I think in this sprint, I got a lot of other things going. Let's see if I have, here we go, streamer / demo modes. I don't even know what those are. I don't know what demo modes are supposed to be. I think demo is just like running it and letting it run itself. Kind of a AFK version. See, I don't even have a simulation only mode. Draft mode. Draft mode? What was I going to do with the draft mode in this streamer? How is a draft mode going to apply to streamer? Huh. Feature? I got a feature. I don't know what a feature is supposed to be, but I'm pretty sure I don't need the second feature. So let's mark down what I did. Now, the reason I went with this streamer stuff that I ended up doing is because to me that's going to be a significant component towards showing off the game, right? And also allowing people to get the game. So here's what I wanted to do. I'm going to add some items here. Create new list, I guess. I'll say feature. Create streamer game. So create. And then in that, we're going to add, what did I do? So we had to create a PBI branch the simulator UI for backend use. How about copy? Copy the simulator UI component for backend use. And then we're also going to have a PBI that create simulation mode selector screen. And on here, this will have, dang it, where am I? It's like, I hate what I don't like this view. I don't even know what I'm supposed to put in this view. How do I add items? Checklist? Is that what that is when I do that? I don't even know what that is. How do I close this? Okay, so I want this item. All right, so we're gonna go, what did I do? Task. Create screen to appear when navigating to game simulation. I guess I don't need to call them tasks. That's kind of a given. I mean, we'll say display options for type of simulation to run. Clicking an option will take you to the game setup screen. Clicking an option will take you to the game setup screen. If needed. First options will just be for the original AOC and stream. Alright, copy similar UI component, backend use. I'll say create a Go component to attach backend service for simulation tests. That's easy enough. We're going to have a new, we know a lot of this stuff is done. This is what I did, and I'm writing it down because I kind of want to have a history of everything that actually gets done. So in order to do that, I actually have to keep adding things that even things that I've already done. Create API. Implement creating state for a streamer game to allow join. Add listener to backend for URL join to game via use. URL join will allow game team. Actually, I don't have it. It doesn't actually allow game team right now. It is game team. Actually, it does allow game team, but doesn't allow regular team, even though I'm allowing that now only because my game team is set. URL join will allow game team names by full name or by mascot. URL join will also allow user ID and game will pull user's team. Okay, so we have that. Successful URL join will replace waiting text on setup page with the team. Once both teams, you know what? I think I might create another PBI here. We'll just, because this is, no, I want this one. PBI. Capture team names submitted by URL and load to game to waiting. Once both teams have been submitted, page will load simulator components. Will attempt load simulator. And let's go ahead and add another one in here. Display join URL for see, I don't know if I'm going to use that. I have that, but I don't know if I'm going to end up using that because that's not supposed to be fully displayable. Yeah. This is actually all proved to be quite a bit more than so a lot of things had to be done in order for even for this stuff to function. I had to implement new services all over the place. I had to plug in the simulator service, the coach service. So many services had to be implemented for this to work, and it's like what I did in this last session was pretty massive. Just writing down all the things I did takes time. Successfully all join not set up. Okay, so that's the UI portion. This is all UI. Create streamer game. UI, because that's really all I did there. And this is just by UI, I just mean all the interactions. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go up to this sprint and I'm going to go, let's show tasks, add from backlog, And then I have to go down to the streamer. I guess streamer is technically oh wait, what? Why am I not going here? Why won't it select it? I guess I can't. Alright, so sim only mode, draft mode, game plan mode, this one. And we'll just add all these to it because these are all kind of what I did. And then what else did I do on the copy the simulator UI component for backend? That didn't do a lot. This is kind of like create simulator data.js with basic setup for simulator calls. Create API handler for common call functions to DB. You know, it's funny. I actually created that by accident with the help of AI. I was like, is there a way we could simplify this that it would be, you know, less redundant? Or really all I asked was I wanted to see if there was a way I could use a common error handler. And it said, oh, good idea to create a common handler for all of your API calls. And I go, it's not exactly what I said. And Nick says, here, we'll do it this way. And it showed me this nice little API handler that took all these functions that went to the database and essentially reduced them down to like 5 lines. Here's the call, and here's the return of the response. And when you click on it, it'll go to the API handler, which is the same size as the functions generally were, where it would do the processing, and then it would do an air handle call, which was to a common air handler. So I could just update the air handler and it would do what I wanted to. So basically it put it all into these like 2 basic functions that really reduced the amount of code I'm doing. It's like, oh, that's nice. So I don't even have to handle my API calls are all the same now, which is, I mean, syntactically they should be, but I do notice that the AI doesn't automatically use the API handler. I have to either rewrite it myself to use the API handler, or I have to tell it, use the API handler. It's like, oh, yeah, that's there. So the more, what do you call it? The more, what is it? Encapsulation? No, the more, what do you call it? Concise your code is. Actually, even the more modulated or unit driven it is, I think the more complicated it gets for AI, because the AI is used to looking at your current document, and you have to actually tell it to look at other documents. It'll do it, but it doesn't always do it by It'll sometimes do it on its own, but sometimes you have to just tell it, because by default it doesn't go too deep. It tries to answer things quickly, but the more modularized your application is, the more complex it is to AI to figure out. It's like chess, right? When you play chess, the better you get, the more effective your chess playing skills are, the more layers you can look into the game. So basically, a well-written program often ends up being many layers deep, because it's now learning to separate and componentize each task. But that makes it more in-depth for AI to look at. It can, and it will. It'll even help you write some of that in-depthness. but it doesn't always pick it up unless you tell it to. Use, create API handler for common call to functions. Streamer data.js for streamer specific calls to streamer service. So yeah, a lot of this stuff I finished, and I've got to actually go in here. So this is Epic Streamer demo mode, but I also am going to need the backend services, which is going to be new list. I'm going to go feature, implement, acquired backend services. Now this was going to be kind of gargantuan. Oh, it actually took me back there. Oops. PBI, create, or flesh out. Flesh out? Is it flesh out or flush out? Flesh out? Flesh out is to clean it out. Flesh out, I think, means, I think that term comes from like, almost like building a robot. This is just my term in my head. I don't know. Flesh it out means to top it off, get that full look going for it, get it fully implemented. Like if you were drawing a human body, you might start with the basic shape, but then you flesh it out. You put the outside flesh on it. That's just what I'm thinking. I don't know what that term comes from, if that's even the right term, but that's my brain's deduction of what flesh out is, because I haven't looked up the etymology of that. Flesh out the simulator service. Simulator service with required bits. Yeah. Create. Flesh out the streamer service. Basic function. What basic function is for these? Implement all the parts needed to enable function or enable the service. All right, let's just do this. Implement simulator service functions. Implement simulator proto definitions. Implement simulator gateway. Simulator gateway file / hookups. What else? Implement connection between simulator and streamer. Between simulator, coach, streamer service. Alrighty. What time is it? 11:04. So I'm door dashing again today, of course. When am I not? But they don't start for another 30 minutes, 25 minutes. Getting a headache. So there's that. Drinking water. Drinking water and more water and more water. I thought I had some kind of a message. That's what I was looking at, but apparently I don't. So, sorry. I have been lucky enough to get some work done while streaming because it's so bad. I don't get enough calls, and so bad. I don't get. Jeez, you turn down my volume and it turns itself back on. Okay, so when I sit there and I'm not getting any pickups, I'll take my computer with me and I just sit there and try to do some code, or at least plan out code. Okay, so we got flesh out the simulator service required links. Okay, so I got to flesh out the streamer service, which also means same thing. Implement service functions. Implement service proto definitions. Implement service gateway hookup. Implement connection to simulator service, which is those are both kind of together. They work. Those are both parts, but since this is actually more, I have to implement the URL command listener. Listener. Create command buffer for access coach service. Implement game start and team load functions. Man, I did a lot of stuff. Because the more I type, I'm like, dude, I did all these things. That 2 weeks was a freaking huge busy 2 weeks. It's good. It's good to have a good set. And I like to be able to create things that are already done. It seems like a lot to write it down, but it really does kind of help call out. Because when I actually have these things kind of fleshed out, I can come back later and say, oh, but I need to add this or I need to add that. Because some of this stuff's going to need to become another thing, right? Because like I might even have this kind of thing right here, implementing the team call. That's almost like a PBI. It should be a PBI. A PBI says, here, this feature, this tiny little thing should be the task. Like I could have had a PBI, like a lot of these are PBIs where I broke them down. It's like flesh out the streamer service. That's one thing. Getting it up and running should have been it. But with the help of AI, I created like 4 services, got them all up and running, and implemented even the tasks, all these other little semi-tasks. And it's a pretty massive amount of work. And I think it's fun to see all this stuff actually being able to do so much and still have so far to go. I mean, I still have a really long ways to go. And I'll tell you, there's going to be some things that take days, if not a couple of weeks to work out, maybe even a full sprint to get my, when it starts, it might even take me 2 sprints to actually get my player stuff in place. I'm really been spending a lot of time, a lot of brain circuits, cycles, trying to devise the layout strategy plan for multiple functionalities with the players themselves. Because once those players all start interacting, that's going to be like the key element of it. Now, here's the thing. I don't know what the games do nowadays, right? So you see stuff on the field and stuff is happening, right? But I don't know how well I don't know. I don't know what those games do, and I wish I did. I wish I knew what they were doing. Are they truly tying in? Are they just putting players on the field, and then when random stuff happens, then they just track where the player ended up, and that's where we're gonna count? And they're just tracking yards based on what they do on the field, right? Which is kind of what it is. But so is it just? In other words, is it UI based stats tracking? Or is it logic-based stats tracking? So in other words, are they just going, hey, have these players move and have things happen on, as these come together, have this possible event and that possible event, and just have them interact and track which players are doing what. One tackles somebody, then we count the tackles. If one guy gets this many yards, then we count the tackles. And then they have all these little things. They're all UI-based actions. And I'm trying to make it logic-based actions. In other words, my UI is going to be dumb. I mean, things are going to happen, but it's going to be because I told it to happen. The UI is really not going to run anything. And I don't know if that's the best way to go. I don't know UI well enough to know, is it better just to have players doing these things and have set their speed and just have them move in certain patterns, and once the players connect, we'll do a test. I don't know. I don't know how difficult that is, or if that's better. I'm just trying to make it all logic based though, and I'm just going to pass the logic to the front end and say, look, front end, this is what you got to do. Move these guys like this. Make them go there. Make them do this. And then once they get there, do this. I'm not going to make complex. I'm not going for physics-based stuff. I wish I could, but that's way too deep. I'm not gonna have that. So I'm gonna have little animations and stuff for things to happen, but not nothing out of the ordinary. Guy gets hit. He fumbles. Okay, we'll have the ball go rolling and stuff will happen, but I'm not going to be like, ooh, guy flying this way and just trying to make it look realistic and just tackle, fumble, whatever. It's gonna be what it is. Players are going to move pretty basic and do their basic thing, but all the things that go on in the game are going to be as realistic as I can. So that's the goal anyway. Anyway, so let's back to it. So flesh out streamer service. Now I do have to get. I implemented some coach stuff because it's going to get the play, and I don't have enough plays. That's next week is really going to be an interesting thing. I'm going to have to put a lot of data into the system just for me to be able to start doing things. I'm going to have to create a game plan, which means I may be back on the game plan mode because I'm going to have to say, I don't even know what this is. What is game plan mode intended? Game plan mode? Draft mode? Sim only mode? I don't know what any of these are supposed to be. What was my brain considering? What is game plan mode? I don't even have a description. Game plan mode. What is game plan mode? I think I may have been thinking more simple than I actually ended up going with. Flesh out the streamer service with basic function. So some of the other things that I have to implement for the streamer service. I'm going to create a new PBI here. Now some of these won't be done right now, but create commands for, what is it? Sub in and play call. trying to how that's going to work and what we're going to allow there. It's like hmm. Oh, save. Then we're gonna do sub in will take your ID and look them up in the player table. If viewer ID does not exist, create record and player. Sub in will take oh, let's change this. Viewer ID with position my receiver separate. Oh, come on. I don't know why I don't like that screen. It's complicated. I don't understand what it's doing. I don't know. It's just too much crap in front of me. I just like nice list. Let's write it down. I can go in there later. I almost never go to the inside pages. I don't look at them in that detail. I guess sometimes I'll put in more complex descriptions later. Play call. I'll accept. Base play. Run. Pass. Blitz. Or play or start. Secondary function. I call. I'll accept. Full play type. Run middle. Pass. Long. Zebra. Problem is, I don't think I can add just tasks. I think I have to add, I don't know, maybe I don't. All right, let's go back up to my sprint here. And I can testing. Let's see. Are all these guys done? Create screen. Clicking on will screen if needed. Alright, so these guys are all done. Create a Go component to attach backend service. These guys are all done. Create streamer data for JS, API handler, all that is done. So we'll mark those all testing. Task, create screen to appear, display options for type of simulation to run, clicking an option, first options, okay, we got that, it's all done as well. Only showing statuses shared between all tasks you selected. Oh, that's fine. Whatever. How do I not select? How do I unselect all these guys? Do I have to like leave the screen? That's dumb. Yeah, ClickUp's not perfect for sure. All right, so implement waiting state for streamer game to allow new functions. So we have that. Add listener to backend for URL to join. Did that. URL join. Yep, did that. URL join will allow user ID in game matchup. It's supposed to. Not fully tested on that second part, but it's in testing. Capture team names, submit by URL, add load to waiting page. Yep. Once both teams have submitted, yep. Successful URL join will replace waiting, yep, does that too. Play execution component, run, game. Can I move stuff to the next sprint right now? Game simulation UI. Coach AI component. We're not going to get too much into that at this point. Not today, anyway. Run game function. Play execution. We're doing that stuff, but we're not fully doing that stuff yet. All right, so what do I want to move? Geez, I still have the ngrok thing. Ugh, I got to work on that. I'll keep pushing it. One of these times I'm going to get to it. Function coaching profile page. Game simulation. All right. Mark sprint done before moving tasks. Wait, what? I have to mark it done? I don't want to call it done. I mean, we're not totally done today. Might be something else I get done. All right, so look at this. This is a long list. And so a lot of these have stuff that's in their stuff. Game system tech debt. What do I need to do in my tech debt? Oh, wait, aren't these done? That's done. This one's only partially done. Well, yeah, my CI/CD to prod is, I mean, it works. It does go to prod, but I don't actually have, it's my public access thing that's not working yet. That's the thing that's got to get, and I got to get the ngrok domain working. Actually, you know, the public access one did work last week, and it might still work. But what it's not is getting this ngrok thing doesn't work. Plus, I haven't deployed to .prod in a bit. Mongo Docker static instances. I think I actually did this. I think. Yeah, I'm pretty sure, but that might actually be done already. I did move all my environment variables. That's done. I don't know how. What else do I need to get going for my game system tech debt? I probably shouldn't. I probably should put Unity on here. Setup, and let's go ahead and add an item on here. I'm pretty sure I have Unity installed. I just haven't tried anything with it. Setup, Unity project. What do I want to do with it? Was my first most base setup Unity project. This setup Unity project is going to have a couple of things on it. Well, it's like make first connection to service. To services. I don't know. PVI create application homepage. That's going to be just having the homepage and something. If I get the auth page, or there's just that's I don't know. I can't even put too much on here because it's not where this would belong. That's tech. I just want to be able to get something, get the Unity thing going, and have something there to visually start to make it look like a thing. I really kind of at this moment have no idea where it's headed. Yeah, that's going to be a major. You know what? I'm going to drink muscle milk. And then I'm going to drink a sour pink lemonade ghost. Woo! I gotta start watching what I'm eating now. I've been eating too much crap. We have a lot of crap at home. It's like my wife makes these sourdough chocolate brownie things or muffin things, and they're so freaking good. She's been making them a lot too lately. It's like, I eat about, and the thing is, I made double chocolate. I mean, like really delicious double chocolate brownies last weekend. So we still got those. And then last week I got this coffee cake when I was doing service, helping get food for the food bank. Got this coffee cake thing. They gave us crates and crates of stuff, and I was like, I'm gonna try one of these coffee cakes. So, and it was good. And I'm the only one who eats these things. I mean, my daughter and my wife will eat them. Actually, my daughter probably eats more than my wife does, but they'll eat them. But I eat them every single day. See, this is why I have to work out every day. I do lots of cardio, lots of muscle building so that I can burn some of this crap off. But I've been overdoing it. And I don't eat a lot, but I mean, I like eat a half here and a half there and a slice there. And when you have a lot, when it's one thing, I might just eat one thing once or twice a day, and I end up eating a whole muffin or a half a muffin or something like that. But when you have brownies, muffins, coffee cake, birthday cake, and whatever the heck else thing that's around. Oh, we have Oreos up there. It's like, oh, I'll throw an Oreo in. That's only one Oreo. So when you have all of the above and you're hitting all of them every day, then that adds up. Even if you're only taking little bits of each one, they all start to add up. Jeez, wait. was really weird. So there's this like, how does that even work? There's like a piece of foil at the top of this. And somehow when you open it, it tears it so that you can drink. But if it doesn't tear it enough, like right now, it's only partially torn. It's kind of hard to get it out of the container. What time is it? All right. I have to start my dash. Now, I'm not leaving this second. I probably should. What's my watch say? 90%. So when it hits 10%, I mean, when it's 10%, when it says 100%, I'm out. So it's probably like 10 more minutes. It probably goes up about 1% every minute. Might even be less than that. Okay, so create application homepage. That's probably good enough for the setup Unity project. User authentication. What do I need here? Login with. I haven't done a lot of these login withs. I still have to try to get Facebook and Twitch attached. Facebook, Google, and Twitch. Account page. Well, I need some things on here like so PBI select. So do you want to do I select the team from the user page? Like if I'm only gonna allow one team and everything's built on that team. All right, streamer key display streamer key with reset PBI display streamer command links for chat command setup. PBI provide instructions. Pop up. Now to implement streamer commands. PBI select. I don't know if the right place to do this. So I want to be able to do career mode. But what is career mode? Some games go about it from the coach's perspective, right? Your coach's career. But a coach can move around. He plays for different teams. He can have his own success. He's just the coach, right? He's not a team. Then you got player. Now a player is like you got to build them up. You got to try to see how try to get them advancing through their career, and you can watch them go up to a point where they get to a point and retire. So what, 10 to 16 seasons, assuming you don't get injured. Man, but now that's a difficult kind of career mode to go with, right? Because you wouldn't really have injuries. You don't want a guy. What if he gets hurt and he's out forever? Then you're like, you never know. In a game that allows for career-ending injuries, yes, I'm gonna have them. I may never have a career-ending injury. Let's just say I might have injuries that are bad enough that when they come back, they may never be the same. They may actually play worse because their injury or what happened to them, what's their mindset, that kind of thing. Oh, I only went up 3% in 6 minutes. I expected to go up more than that. At that pace, we're looking at taking too long, is what I'm thinking. I probably should go get closer to, apparently a mile's too far away for my stream here. Which I should probably turn on. Start dashing. Let's do that. Okay, so my dash is on. Why do I keep drinking this empty container? Because I keep hearing. Well, that might actually just be the little metal piece. I don't know. Right. I'm not there yet, but I feel like I'm close enough that when I start going, it's like I got to decide how my teams are going to be. Is a player going to be allowed a one-to-one relationship with a team? In which case, do you really do career mode? Are you going to build this team up? I got to start really laying out how are my player cards that you can build up going to connect to your team? Are you really going to build it out of actual players that you own? Or are they just cards you can collect on the side like it's an extra thing? But then how does the cards you collect, I want them to matter, right? I want them to have an effect on the game. So you might be collecting all the players, but at the same time, how do they affect the gameplay? What's going on? Are they? Do you get some kind of a bonus for using players you own the cards to on your team? Maybe and plus, here's another thing. When you have players on your team, how are most games going about it? Are they doing it like, okay, so like Madden, we'll say Madden for example, they give everybody a rating, but you can play multiple seasons with those players. Do the players change their stats, or are they that stats for forever? Do they get better, worse? Does nothing happen? They're giving everybody something, but they got to have an effect. Can you do career mode? Because Madden lets you have a single player career mode. I don't know. I don't even know what features Madden does. And why do I compare against Madden? Because they are the baseline for everybody, right? Every game, football game out there thinks of Madden as a base. What do they want to do that Madden doesn't do? What do they want to do better than Madden? What do they want to not do? What do they want to do different than Madden? It's always against Madden. They want to make this better than what Madden does. They want to do this because Madden doesn't do it. It's always about how you compare against Madden when you're making a football game. I'm sorry. Anybody out there says, I don't care about Madden. I just do what I want. Then you're not being smart, really. I mean, you have to consider your competition, right? I mean, even if my game is a management simulation and theirs is a play simulation, which is slightly different, considerably different, really. But it does provide features and functionality that's going to carry over. There's crossover. And the question is, you got to decide, well, what is it you want to do that's different? I am still... Whoa, why is that so bad? Still trying to work out what modes, what game modes my game football manager. Not soccer. Will offer. Obviously, league mode and quick play mode. But the question is, how would I best implement a career or year-to-year my game will be using real NFL player stats or player initialization. So what is a career mode? Players stats based on reality, based on real performance. So how would I drive a career? Do I just coach or GM coach? Similar questions come with league modes. You know, I never use my home number, and I shouldn't answer this. I shouldn't answer this. Okay. Guess I don't have to. They're gone. Shouldn't answer that. Do I just do a coach when similar questions come with league modes? How do I progress stats? Players. I want player improvement. Even some amount of degradation, some amount of degradation over time. That I need that to stay in line with the overall reality-based skill balance. Click on the old deep thinker here. I'm actually going to copy this statement down because it's part of the design process, right? Career modes. Considerations. Let's see what Copilot thinks. I already have an idea on how I'm going to implement progression based on real stats. But the thing is, it's different. Like, what if you have a rookie? You put a rookie player in, you basically want him at full stats, right? Because he's not going to be potential at that point. He's going to be, I mean, he's going to have a lot of potential, but he's going to be a rookie, right? And the thing is, I want to be able to allow progression, but you don't know the future, so you can't progress into real skills. You can only progress into what the game allows. It might be interesting to see how the game progresses a person's skills in relation to reality, because you'll be able to see. You know, I want to be able to allow real skills, but I also want to be able to I want to have ways where you can bring in players into the league based on cards you have, right? So if you have the cards, you can insert, like, you can upgrade or edit or change your characters in some way if you own the cards for them. Like, for example, you get the players that are in the game, and they come in with their base stats. Say I bring them all in with whatever their stats were for 2024. They all loaded into the game, their 2024 stats, and all of their base calculations for game function are going to be based on 2024 stats. But in the future, in 2025, I make the 2025 cards available as well as the 2024 cards. Now, you've already got these players on your team. They're kind of stuck in their progression modes that the game has created for them because they are what they are. You can only go from where they are. But you add 2024 guys, and you want to be able to put some of these guys into the play, but maybe you only have one of them on your team. Maybe you want to add that player, and maybe you get some kind of a skill boost or bonus for having the cards. Maybe they get a fractional bonus that's higher than what you might get through normal process. Maybe your players earn some amount of a skill bump if you own the card. And if you use them a lot and that card levels up, it'll give them an additional skill bump. But I've got to keep it all within the ulti cap. Every skill is going to have an ulti cap based on the realities of how players play in the NFL. So an ulti cap is basically, it can't go higher than this. It is just not possible. Basically, the guy would have to be Superman to be higher than this. So I look at like the absolute best players in history, and I plug in all their stats as best as I can, and I finagle whatever I need to make those stats show. And then I put the Ultra cap at like 10% higher than that. Maybe even 20%. So if you're basing it on a score of 100, there's not going to be a lot of 99s. The best players may get up to 90 or 98 or whatever, maybe even 96. And maybe some of these guys will start closing in on the Ultra cap, but they're going to trickle off, or they're going to retire or something. And I have to decide what those caps and those considerations are going to be. Injuries, how's your team doing, things like that are going to trigger whether or not a guy either wants to be traded or wants to be retired. See, I have a problem with this mode because coaches move from team to team, and a lot of times you want to connect to a team, you want to build a team. Your favorite team is this team. Do you really want to be stuck with the team? Or do you really want to be forced to, like, what if you're doing bad? They threaten to trade you away or fire you, or you can't be fired because it's your game and you're not going to allow, you can't be fired. GM career is interesting too. Like, you got to control the coaches, but are you really going to stay on that team? You could technically be fired for being bad there too. So the only thing you can be is like an owner, but you're kind of an owner anyway, and that's what you are by default, right? You own your team, and whatever you're doing is throughout the game, you're going to control this team and manage the team and do whatever you do with the team. And this is another thing, simulating your... See, this doesn't even talk about player career mode. It's just like, yeah. Driving the career with realistic elements. Sees balancing realism and player agency. Leverage historical data to model realistic progression curves. Customize player progression parameters like speed, degradation, yeah. Player agency. Allow managers, coaches to have a direct influence, for example, in a training regime. Yeah, I'm going to do I have all the plans for training and all that stuff. That's interesting, a legacy system. Most of this stuff isn't new to me. See, I've seen games that do this. I don't like the media crap. It's weird. Retro Bowl tried to put a lot of that stuff in there, and I'm like, it's like you have to create these random events, and they're not really that random because there's only like 10 of them. It does a lot of the same ones, and you get a lot of the same things. Oh, this guy did this. Do you want to penalize him or not penalize him? It'll have this effect or that effect. Do you want to have this thing, which may or may not do, you could lose some coaching cred or you gain some money. It's like random little niggly. I don't get it. I don't know. I could see like having some minor effects, like maybe it's got to be more fluid, not like bad and bad. A lot of times it was bad and bad because if you're losing, you'd get a lot of bad and bads. Do you want to blame this guy or blame that guy? And you'll lose this thing or you lose that thing. I was like, I don't want to do either of those. I'm already losing. What do I want to do to screw up my players even more? It's like, I'm not going to blame either one of them. Let's just get our acts together. Hey, I did it. I got my watch it fully charged. 100%. Now, I gotta leave. Oh, well, I already have it. Multiplayer is going to be an obvious thing. I'm definitely doing multiplayer. Yeah, chemistry, sir. I'm just trying to decide. It's not really saying anything that's not going to be in my game. Well, some of the things I don't. Dynamic progressions, performance factors, training, development, aging, and fatigue. Yeah, all that stuff is standard. Everybody does this stuff, but I'm just trying to decide how it ties into my real NFL skills. And do I just build off of it? I guess you could do curves, like it said. You know, have a standard like these kind of things typically can improve. But just, the thing is, what about when you have busts? NFL busts. You draft a guy who looks like he's got potential and he just never really pans out. Because your leagues are going to go faster than the leagues in the NFL, right? You could play through an entire league in you know, a few days. Even if I had it 3 days apart or 2 days apart between games, because especially if you're playing with other people, I got to give them time. And I want to be able to allow people just to play games, which some do. A lot of games will have a head-to-head or quick play mode, blah blah blah, and then you have your league. And I think I even want to have functionality where you can be in multiple leagues. Because, again, I want the ability to kind of keep things moving and doing stuff and trying things. But I have to also allow... You can do solo mode where you go through a league, I guess, completely quicker. But, again, if you're in a solo mode and in a multiplayer league, you're going to have... if you're in a solo mode and a multiplayer league, that's 2 teams. I'm allowing you to have 2 teams. And then how does that interact with the fact that you've got... How does that interact with your... with the simple fact that you have the player cards? How do the player cards work? And how do those player cards... So that's what none of these games do what I'm trying to do. So which is great. It's awesome. But I got to make it work, right? I want to be able to have the free-to-play, collect your cards aspects that a lot of games give you, but in a way that allows you to play the game regardless. So what I thought is, like, I'd give you your base cards. You have a team. You know, maybe you only have 22 players, and maybe you're only in a beginner league where there's not as many players out there available. And maybe as you earn stuff, guys go into free agency. That's an idea. Huh. Maybe the player pool gets bigger and you start getting access to more and more players, thus allowing you to pick the players and the cards you get on your team. But you're also going up against the other players in your league that would also have access to those players and cards. Huh. 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 I might be onto something there. I'm going to have to think that one through.